Hello students, this is a tutorial on how to draw the 2-point perspective bedroom, and I'm just going to do a straight through tutorial. So it is within the unit of perspective and scale on Google Classroom. So both Art 1 and Art 2 students will be doing this, and they will be submitting the finished drawing in the next week or two. So I will set the due date on Google Classroom. The first thing you have to do is to get your tools ready. So for this project, like with all of our other projects, we try to use the things that are commonly found in your house and that are not that hard to get. You will need at least 3 sheets of copy paper. You will need a 12-inch clear plastic ruler. If you don't have a clear plastic one, just use your solid ruler, your wooden ruler, whatever ruler you have. If you don't have a ruler, then what you can do is make a ruler out of a sheet of paper. So I'm going to show you how to create an extension for your ruler. If you don't have a ruler in the first place, you could just make 2 of these extensions and place them together, just like I'm going to show you how to put this ruler into my extension and tape it in place. But first, make sure that you sharpen all your pencils. You'll need maybe a couple pencils, 2 or 3. You can use your HB drawing pencil. If you have a H pencil, a 2H is even better because it'll keep a sharp line and then you won't have to sharpen as often. If you have a mechanical pencil, it will always stay sharp, you know, the kind that you can click. That will be even better than that. And if you don't have any of those things, you can always use a number 2 pencil. So for my demo, I'm just using some number 2 pencils, regular drawing pencils that I've sharpened. You need some tape. So you do need to locate some masking tape around the house. If you don't have masking tape, you can use some Scotch tape. You can use some masking tape that looks kind of like that beige papery type. But try to find some very thin tape around the house. So Scotch tape is very common. It's like an office supply, so you could use that. So let's first get our paper and prep our paper. So we'll need 3 pieces of paper, copy paper, just 8.5 by 11, to create the paper that we're going to do the actual drawing on. Most of our drawing is actually in the center portion of the paper. We only need 2 pieces of paper. We're going to put this paper in the center, and then we're going to take the other piece of paper and fold it in half this way, holding it the long landscape way. And then we're going to fold it in half like a book. Make sure you crease it really, really well. With your thumbnail, just push down on the spine or the center like this. And I have scissors, but I'm not going to use them just in case, you know, people do not have the scissors with them right now at home. So I'm just going to try to do things as simplest as possible so that it's doable for everybody. So you notice that I have a whole sheet of paper and I'm holding it the long landscape format. I have the sheet of paper, single sheet, that I folded in half, and it's got the fuzzy edge where I tore the paper in half. I'm going to flip it so that the clean edges are on the inside, and I will tape that end to end on the right and left side of the center whole piece of paper. So I'm just going to use a couple pieces of clear tape, some Scotch tape, clear tape, whatever thin tape you can manage to locate. And this is what I have. So I'm just going to tape it. And we are going to draw on the side without the tape. So after we're done our taping, we're going to flip it over and draw on the opposite side, because pencil will not draw on this type of tape. And it will look nicer. Okay, so no tape in your drawings, okay? That should be on the back. So we taped the 3 pieces of tape on either side to attach the extra sheet of paper. The whole reason for doing this is what we want to do is we want to put our two vanishing points much further out. I have found, I'm going to flip the paper over now so you can see it. See, it's nice and neat. You don't even see the tape. You could hardly see the line sometimes on the camera. But if I have the two vanishing points on my horizon, and I'm going to have two for this lesson, too close together, it will give you a very, very exaggerated 2-point perspective. And I didn't like how that looked in previous years. So what we're using the two extra pieces of paper to do is just push those vanishing points out, further out, so that our drawing looks a little bit more natural to how we may actually see our bedroom or a bedroom in 2-point perspective. So that's the only reason for having these two pieces of paper. In reality, our drawing is going to be just within the confines of this center piece of paper. That's where our actual drawing is going to be. So at the end, you could just cut off the two extra pieces or fold them under when you take your photograph of the finished drawing to submit your work onto Google Classroom. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to prepare the ruler. If you just have a 12-inch ruler, you're going to need a little bit of an extension so that it reaches to these very far vanishing points. The 12-inch ruler is not going to do it, so we need to make an extension. If you have a longer ruler, certainly use it. But if you don't, let's make an extension, and I'll show you right now how to do that. Okay, and it's very, very easy. So I'm going to put my paper aside, and this is how to make the extension. You're going to hold a piece of paper the long landscape way. Very easy. You're going to fold the top and bottom. You fold the bottom up to the top, and fold the piece of paper the long way, like this. Okay, some people call that the hot dog fold. Okay, and then you're going to fold it one more time in half like this. And every time you fold, try to put a nice sharp crease along the closed edge. Okay, now one more time. You're going to fold it one last time, and this is the last time you're going to fold it. And it's going to kind of look like a little ruler made out of paper. Okay. And I'm going to put a nice sharp fold there. Okay. So what I want to do is, it's not going to be perfect because where I am putting the ruler, I'm putting the ruler inside, slightly inside, like by about 3 inches. I'm going to open this up and put the ruler right in there. And when I do that, what's going to happen is, let me put it on this side where this side is 0. So keep the side that has 0 out and overlap the side that is closer to the number 12. Overlap it by about 3 inches and close the paper over it. There'll be a little bump there whenever you draw a line, but it's not, it's not that big a deal. Okay, now I'm going to just overlap a piece of tape and kind of keep my ruler inside of that folded piece of paper and kind of trap it in there so it doesn't come out. So I am putting it over the edge of the ruler, and so it's on the paper, on the ruler, and then on the paper on the back. Put 3 pieces there. And I'm also going to close up the end here of the paper extension so it's not all floppy and it doesn't keep on opening up, and close up the center here with a piece of tape. If you have enough tape to do that, go ahead and do that. And I'll put a piece going kind of along with the ruler this way on the back and on the front. Okay, just so that it doesn't move on us. Okay, so that's how to create a ruler with an extension. But like I said, if you have an 18-inch ruler, 24-inch ruler, use the ruler that you have. Use it if you've got it. And if you don't, let's just make one of these. You don't have to write any numbers. You're just using it as a straight edge. So if you had something like a ruler that was really long, you could use that too, like a paint stirrer. That's perfect. But it will not be see-through. And the see-through part of this part of the ruler is actually very useful to check if I'm drawing parallel lines. Okay? So now that we have our ruler with our extension and our drawing paper ready, we are set and ready to begin our drawing. So the first thing that we have to do is draw the horizon line, and that's really easy to do. All you have to do is fold your paper in half the long way again. Let's fold the whole piece of paper. Okay? And just to make it easy, you could fold the paper. It's okay. This is just a practice drawing. So the whole intention here is to learn all about two-point perspective. It's not, going to be our greatest masterpiece, so you don't have to worry about that. So I can see with the fold, but just so that's more visible, you know what? I'm going to go over the horizon line and draw it in with a pencil so it's nice and clear. So just go over the fold in the middle with your ruler and just try to make a nice continuous line. So you may want to try to avoid that little part that's a little bump in the ruler where the paper piece was attached to the actual plastic ruler or wooden ruler. If there's a little bump there, it doesn't matter. It's just however neatly you want to draw this. Okay, so now we have drawn a horizon line and it kind of cuts the paper in half. So there's a top and a bottom. So right toward the end, maybe about half an inch inboard or a quarter of an inch, it doesn't matter, just so that you can just see it. I want you to draw a black dot and write VP. Let's just draw it real big so you can see it. VP 1. Okay, VP1 stands for vanishing point 1. On the other side, we're going to write VP2, vanishing point 2. So this drawing uses 3 different types of lines for the most part, unless you want to get fancy, and I'll explain that later. You can make the whole drawing with vertical lines. Those are lines that go from north to south, straight up and down lines, right? You can use vanishing point 1 lines that are diagonal lines that go toward vanishing point 1 here on the left, and vanishing point 2 lines that go toward vanishing point 2 on the right. You can do the whole drawing with just those 3 lines and not have to use any kind of other type of line. You don't have to use curves or anything if you don't want to. Everything can be made of squares or cubes, I should say, since we're working and we're trying to draw more 3-dimensional looking forms on our paper. So that's why we're trying to draw in perspective. So let's label this, okay? We are going to call this the 2-point perspective practice drawing. Okay, 2-point perspective practice drawing of the bedroom. We're going to just do a basic bedroom and put your name on the center portion here, because when you take your photo, you probably will not be able to fit the sides into the photo anyway. Just the center part is what's important. I want you to put your name in the lower right hand corner of your work and put your period class, and then you could put the date, okay? So you can write that in there. But what's most important is your name and your period, okay, to help me kind of put that into gradebook. So now we have everything labeled and we are ready to go. So we drew our horizon line. This is our horizon line here, and I'm going to label that. Horizon line is the same as eye level. So just want to mention one thing about the horizon line. Whenever we draw anything above the horizon line, you know, I want you to think back to the drawing of the 3 cubes that we drew, the one in 1-point perspective, the one in 2-point perspective, and the one in 3-point perspective. You knew that when something was floating above the horizon line, that was actually placed above our eye level. So in order to see it, we would be looking up at it, and we would not be able to see up and over the top of that object. And in the last example, we drew a cube, but we could see the bottom of the cube. So if we ever drew something like a light up on the ceiling or a really high shelf, we should be able to see the bottom of that shelf or the bottom of that light. If something is below the horizon line, below now, we should be able to see the top. So we might be able to see the top of a mattress, the top of a bedside table, and certainly anything that's on the floor, we should see the top of the rug. We should see the rug, period. So you should be able to see the tops of things when things are below the horizon line. When things are right at the horizon line, you just see things from the side. You don't see, you will rarely see, you know, especially if it's really thin, but that's not a very common situation. So let's just keep the horizon line in mind when we are drawing. It is important, okay? Even though we ourselves are not going to draw another horizontal line, the horizon line tells us whether we should draw the bottom or the top of something, depending on its location to the horizon line. All right, we're going to draw the corner of the room. 2-point perspective, the biggest difference between 2 and 1-point perspective is, 2-point perspective is you are standing at the center of a room, looking at the corner of a room. So you can see the left and the right walls on the left and right side of the paper, okay? When we were doing 1-point perspective, we were looking directly at the center of one of the walls of the room. Let's just say the back wall, or it could be a side wall, but we don't know. But we were staring squarely at the back of the room. With a 2-point perspective, we're looking at the corner. So if you think back upon drawing the cube in 2-point perspective, remember we drew the cube where we were looking at the cube from the corner. So it's all about looking at something from the corner and having the left and right sides to your right and left. So in order to start drawing that corner of your bedroom, I'm going to fold the paper in half the opposite way. Okay, not the long way, but the short way here. And just put a little fold kind of near the middle. You could put the fold all the way straight up and down. It doesn't matter. Let's keep it simple. And I'm going to draw a line that's about 1.5 inches above the horizon line, right along that fold, and 1.5 inches below. So in total, it'll be a 3-inch line. That's going to be the corner of our room. Why is the corner of our room so short? Because what we want to do is make the room look very big and vast. If we started making the room really big from the beginning, it would look like we were standing right up, like close to the corner of the room, and there wouldn't be any room to put any furniture from that point of view or fit very much else into that drawing. So let's keep it pretty short. Okay, so I want you to put a little point at the top and at the bottom of that line segment. So does that sound familiar? Line segment sounds kind of like geometry, right? So at the top and bottom, put a point. And now we are going to proceed to draw the walls of this room. Okay, so we drew the corner line where there's the corner of the room. We're facing a corner of the room. And we are going to use vanishing point 1 to draw the line for the wall on the right. So we always use the opposite vanishing point to draw the walls or whatever is on the right and left. If we're drawing something on the wall on the right, we use the vanishing point on the left. If we are drawing something on the wall on the left, we draw using the vanishing point on the right. So it's always the opposite most of the time, right? Most of the time. So just so I don't have as much erasing to do, I'm not going to draw the line on this left half. But once I get to this line segment here on the right side of the paper, I am going to draw my line. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to do the same thing to create the wall, the line where the wall meets the ceiling. Okay. And I'm going to use vanishing point 1 as well. I'm using the vanishing point on the opposite side to draw this line. Okay. Remember, all of this stuff on this extra flap of paper is not a part of the drawing. So if you need to remind yourself that, then you could go ahead and draw a dark line right there to remind yourself that anything past there is really not going to be seen. So I'm going to just go over that with my pencil line so that you, the student, can see that we're not drawing anything beyond these lines. Okay, so now we have something that looks like a trapezoid, a sideways trapezoid. And what this line represents is where this side wall here meets the ceiling. So this is the ceiling, and this line over here is where the side wall, the wall on our right, meets the floor. So let's do the opposite now and draw the floor and the wall line using vanishing point 2 here on the right side of the paper. And so we're going to go to that little point at the bottom of that center line segment. There we go. And let's go to the top and line up the one end of the ruler with vanishing point 2. And you're going to kind of tilt upwards toward the left. And what you'll basically draw is kind of like a bow tie shape. So this is what these shapes that are on the paper mean. The top area right here is your ceiling. This is the corner of the room. You have your left and the right side of the right and left wall, and you have the floor. Okay, so I want everyone to get to right here. When you're drawing, get to about right here where I am right now.